Welcome everyone to the Sports Giant Network, and today in this video, I'm recapping UFC 318, which took place this past Saturday, as this was a very unique card, to say the least. Not only because it was Dustin Poirier's final fight, and it taking place in Louisiana, where he's from. He's from Lafayette, and this fight, this event took place in New Orleans, but also the prelims were very entertaining. A lot of finishes in the early prelims, then mostly decisions for like the final few fights of the prelims and the main card. You had some fun fights, you had some okay fights, but overall, I thought it was a solid card. Wasn't the it was a solid card. Like I said, the main event was fun. The Rodriguez and Kevin Holland fight was fun. Oh, that was shocking. I'm shocked by that fight. That fight really like shocked me. I did not expect. I, I did not expect Rodriguez to win. Like I am genuinely shocked Holland lost. Like that shocked me completely. That I got me and a lot of people got the main card wrong. I mean, Michael Johnson didn't think he was gonna win. I got that wrong. Ige lost. I thought he was gonna win. Probably was hoping Pitbull looked good, better, which he did compared to his UFC debut. But still, I thought Ige was gonna lose. I mean, not lose, win. Kopylov lost, which shocked me. That Paulo Costa looked good, but yeah, a lot of shocking moments. Well, surprising moments in this card, rather. Excuse me, let me say. But let me just get a sip of water and then I'll break down the prelim, a little bit of the prelims. We'll go from there. Yeah, like I said, there were six finishes. I mean, matter of fact, the first fight got a performance bonus. Carly Judeis beat over Nikolai Caleri. Carly Judeis got performance bonus, also from Louisiana. As for there was three Louisiana fighters on this card. The first two fighters from Louisiana won. Poirier did not, but it was a good showing. It was a good showing for Louisiana. You're celebrating the greatest fighter from Louisiana, and Dustin Poirier had good performance against Holloway. Then Judeis wins. Brian Allen wins in a fun fight. Bruno Ferreira in the second prelim fight got submission victory over Jackson McVee in the first round. Then you got Ryan Spann actually using fighting intelligently and actually getting a victory at heavyweight against Lucas Brzeski in the by submission. Ryan Spann actually used intelligence and fought well and actually used wrestling to win. How about that? But yeah, good victory for him though. Ryan Spann, he's athletic, but his fight IQ, can't trust it. Jimmy Crew got a victory as Jimmy Crew, finally gets a. I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember if he won his last fight or not, but Crew I know starts looked like a prospect, but then lost several fights, and it's kind of wondering what Crew's career is gonna be. He got a victory here against Marcin Prachino, but good victory for him. We'll see what if Crew can turn around, maybe a win streak if he's not on one. But yeah, I honestly forget. Like, I don't know why I'm forgetting, but yeah. Then Islam Duatov makes his UFC debut and gets a freaking TKO victory over Adam Figit in the first round. And Islam Duatov got a good victory. That was a very nice knockout. I just watched that. And also he's a model too, which is kind of weird that you have a model in the UFC fighting. But it didn't take really much damage from Adam. Adam Figit didn't really hurt him at all. Islam did enough to win, and he got a victory. TKO victory, which is a good performance for him. Still weird. He's a freaking model, especially from Dagestan. Like, I know he came over. No, not Chechnya. I think he's from Chechnya, not Dagestan. My bad. Wrong Russian Republic. From Chechnya, but immigrated to Germany and lives in Germany. Normally those guys from that region, I don't associate them with models or fighters or models of that. To be quite frank, but still, anyway, good victory for him. Abhia Gutar got a good KO victory over Robin Valentine. Valentin, excuse me, not Valentine. Valentin, first round, points bonus for him. Then you got the first decision, which was Nikolai Vrentiknikov defeating Francisco Prado via split decision. So this is where all the decisions came in after having a bunch of finishes. And then I want to talk Brandon Allen versus Marvin Vettori. This was fight of night. I thought Holland and Rodriguez was gonna get it because I thought, but this was a good fight though. Brandon Allen and Marvin Vettori, very entertaining fight, very good fight. I liked it. Brandon Allen won all, in my opinion. Brandon Allen won all three rounds, in my opinion. Try to see the judge's scorecard. If the UFC website tells me what the scorecard was, sees me stats, but I don't know what the judging. Unanimous decision. I just don't. Anyway, Brandon Allen looked better. Like Marvin Vettori, he landed. Oh, he drew a lot of 1-2s like he typically does, but Brandon Allen, like that first round especially, broke Vittori's nose, and that was a problem for Vittori the entire fight. He took Vittori down and used grappling in that first round, landed some good punches, landed landed elbows a few times when in the clinch, landed knees, landed hooks, and he just did it more. And he was busier, drew more combinations, did it more than Vittori. Vettori landed a couple body kicks and like his 1-2, but that's the thing for Vettori. It's like all has is a 1-2, maybe a body kick, maybe a leg kick at that, but other than that, he doesn't have much. And Brandon Allen just pick him apart, just doing more in the striking department, doing more, and he looked faster too, and just beating up Marvin Vettori. Even though I mentioned Vittorio has the 1-2, he still landed on Brandon Allen a few times. He still caught Brandon Allen. It wasn't even if he missed one, he still landed the second one, or he landed one and then missed the second one. If that makes sense, like basically, and it's kind of like it's crazy how, despite how limited Marvin Vettori was, or it usually is, he actually landed a few times on Brandon Allen and caught him. That's why it's fight tonight, because it was a very fun fight. Vettori has moments of catching and hurting Brandon Allen, but Allen completely won this fight, just doing more and gain a good victory, a hard-earned victory. And I'm surprised this fight and the Vinicius Oliveira and Kyle Phillips fights were on the main card, because I still think they deserve it. Despite they still deserve to be on the main card over Michael Johnson, Dan Zellhuber, and Patricio Pitbull, Dan Ige. I still don't understand what the UFC was thinking in terms of card placement or match placement in terms of like where they put these fights at. That's still questionable. I don't know what they were thinking, but Brandon Allen gets the victory. Just did more in his did more. Vettori, like I said, limited, but still landing on Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen, excuse me, hit him some good shots, hurt him, caught him. But Brandon Allen did way more and really beat up Marvin Vettori. Broke his nose. Throughout, like I said, doing knees a couple times in clinch, elbows, hooks, rock Vettori. But Vittori's an iron chin and just can't get finished. Like, I think he's only been dropped once. That was by Jared Cannonier a couple years ago for Vittori. But yeah, Vittori's got iron chin, but still, like, it's only so much I can take you. Vittori, I don't know if he's ever gonna like improve on his techniques. Like he'll work on his striking techniques or throwing more kicks and maybe trying more takedowns. But either way, Brian Allen wins, snaps his 2-fight losing streak, gets a victory in a grudge match, fight tonight. Very entertaining. And yeah, good performance by Brandon Allen. Vinicius Oliveira versus Kyle Phillips is the next fight in the card, as Vinicius Oliveira wins via unanimous decision 29-28. Kyle Phillips clearly won round one. He hurt Vinicius Oliveira, stumbled him a few times. Vinicius Oliveira, like, he won, but he looked weird. Like his stance, like he looked, it was so weird. Like his stances, like just hands down, like barely like he left himself wide open in shots at times, and like he looked off balance at times. It just looked so weird. Like, not you wouldn't expect a bantamweight to look like that. And Phillips did a good job when round one, but the thing with Phillips is that it seemed like after round one he just gassed out or just got tired, and it seemed like and basically he couldn't handle Oliveira's pressure. Like Oliveira, like in the final, well, I see. If I remember correctly, in the final like 30 seconds, he started pressuring Phillips more, and Phillips didn't have as much success. But he did so much in round one and clear one round one. Then rounds 2 and 3, Kyle couldn't handle the pressure of Oliveira. Oliveira just kept pressuring him, landing big shots. I believe he might have dropped it at one point, if I remember correctly. Not sure. I think he did, but I don't. I don't know if he did, but yeah. It was a good good performance for Vinicius Oliveira. Just seems like Kyle Phillips couldn't really. None of his shots, even when he did throw back, it had no pop behind them. There was like no pop compared to round one, where he actually had pop in his shots. It was like almost similar to Rob Font, where Rob Font used pressure to basically shut down Kyle Phillips in Phillips' last fight, and Phillips had no answer for it. And same thing here, where Phillips couldn't answer for Oliveira's pressure. Oliveira kept landing shots at him, And even when Phillips drew back, he had no pop, and then he just tried to throw like a spinning. He would try throwing like kicks and stuff, like flashy kicks at times, and just wasn't gonna land. And Oliveira was able to get out the way and just keep beating him up. Phillips, that is, and yeah, it was a good victory for Oliveira, considering he's now going to move up the rankings, as Phillips is number 12 and Oliveira is ranked number 15. But at the same time, Oliveira, if he doesn't fix like his striking like deficiencies in terms of defense, like putting his hands down and like his weird stance, like being off balance and stuff, like if he doesn't fix that stuff, I just don't see him being a championship contender and bantamweight. To me, watching both guys, especially in rounds 2 and 3, I feel like it's like, damn, I believe the bantamweight are gonna beat these guys up badly. Like, especially if they just look like, if they look like the way they did rounds 2 and 3. I could see someone like, guys like Chiovera, Poirier just catching them, dropping them, hurting them badly, and really beating them up. Guys like that, or guys like Sanhagen, Figueiredo, if he after he comes back from injury, he's still the same fighter. I just see these guys, and obviously Marab. Marab's Marab. I don't even have to say his name. We all know Marab will beat these guys. It's Marab. They just would really hurt these guys badly. And I just don't see these guys like, yeah. Especially if these guys don't improve, like Phillips doesn't improve, like his handling of pressure and like his conditioning of not if he doesn't improve that, and Oliver doesn't improve his like his striking defense and like I guess his conditioning, because it looked like he was somewhat tired but pulled through in round 3 especially. It doesn't work on like his weird all balance like stance. I if these guys don't improve that, I especially Oliveira, since he won, I just don't see these guys doing much in the rankings, especially if Oliveira's trying to be a championship fighter. I just don't see it. But it was a good performance. He won. Crashes. I like Oliveira. He is fun fighter to watch, but still, it's like, oh man, he's got to work on things. He's gonna be a true championship contender. But anyway, I'm gonna transition to the main card now. Michael Johnson beats Daniel Zellhuber via unanimous decision, 29-28. This shocked me. I thought Zellhuber was going to beat him up because he was younger, by 13 years. He looked better. I didn't think Michael Johnson and 2 of his 3 previous victories looked all that great compared to like going into this fight. I know he knocked out Ahmed Zaitar, but at the same time, Ahmed Zaitar, like, how much can I take that victory seriously? Turns out I was wrong. Turns out Michael Johnson still got it. Michael Johnson still had good hand speed despite how old he is, and dropped Zellhuber, I believe, in round 1 or round 2. I wish I remember. Let me see if it tells me what round on the UFC website, what round he got dropped. Zellhuber. I'm trying to see if my phone wants to work, but yeah, like Michael Johnson hand speed was there. He just kept catching Zellhuber, catching Zellhuber in the face, body shots. He even landed a couple body shots on Zellhuber as well. Zellhuber, all he did is just kept spamming, body, kicks to Johnson's arm and some leg kicks, and a few body kicks landed, but a lot of the kicks were hit where Michael Johnson blocked with his arm, which can be risky because you can get your arm broken if you keep blocking kicks with your arm, and if you do. So there was a possibility of that, but it didn't happen. Johnson blocked it, kept throwing punches. Hand speed, he was able to break through Zellhuber's guard and catch him and rock him with straights and rights and lefts and even some body punches and drop Zellhuber in that fight. And yeah, good hand speed for a 39-year-old. His hand speed was there. Like he looked faster than Zellhuber with the hands, which is crazy because I didn't expect that personally, but that's what happened. And yes, okay, so one knockdown, only one knockdown for Zellhuber for Michael Johnson. It was round, if I remember, it was actually no, it was round 2. Shit, I just watched it. Fuck, it was round 1 or 2 where there was a knockdown, and that was surprising because I thought if anyone was getting knocked down, it was going to be maybe Zellhuber. But to be fair, Michael Johnson in 40 plus fights has only been knocked out 3 times or TKO 3 times. Usually, guys who beat Michael Johnson, now I was thinking about it, it's usually they implement wrestling. It's rare to see someone just beat up Michael Johnson in a striking fight. Usually they mix in the wrestling with him. It seems like striking fight he can hold his own against most guys. I mean, he did knock out Dustin Poirier in 2016 when Poirier was, and this was when Poirier was already established as a great fighter. He beat Tony Ferguson before he won his 12 fight win streak, and then he beat Edson Barboza, one of the better strikers in the UFC his lightweight history. But so Michael Johnson's always been a good striker, and here he looked good, man. This is his third victory in a row, I believe. Fourth victory in 5 fights. Crazy to think Michael Johnson still can hang with these young guys in lightweight and beat them. It just, man, this I gotta give him credit. And with Zellhuber, the game plan wasn't the best. I think this was not a good night for Eric Nixon, Extreme Couture, and their fighters. Not a good night. With this fight and then the Ige fight afterwards, turns out how their fighters performed. Zellhuber just kept throwing leg kicks, no, and like body kicks that hit Michael Johnson's arm. Just kept spamming it. Didn't throw punches till the third round. Didn't throw any like teep kicks or anything different. Round 3 did a little bit different and actually won that round. Actually landed good punches on Michael Johnson, but it was like too late at that point. Johnson already knocked him down. He already won rounds 1 and 2, and just couldn't catch Michael Johnson. Didn't try for any takedowns. It was like lack of urgency from Zellhuber, and it was just not a good performance from him. Yeah, it was just not good. But good victory for Michael Johnson. And speaking of Extreme Couture, Nicksick, I'll transition to the next fight, which is Danny Ige versus Patricio Pitbull. As Patricio Pitbull wins via unanimous decision, 29-28. The first half of this fight was not the most entertaining. It was boring the first half, but I feel like the halfway point of round 2, all the way to the end, was not that terrible. Like Pitbull won round 1 with the takedowns. He took Ige down a couple times, and some of the takedowns looked impressive. They were kind of impressive takedowns, taking like he got off his back and just picked him up. And there's another one where I believe he tripped him. So Pitbull got like 2 takedowns in that fight, and one with the takedowns and landed a few punches. But round 1 was pretty boring. It was not the most entertaining round. I will admit that. And Ige really didn't do much either in that round. And then round 2, the first half, Ige landed a few, but still wasn't being active. And Pitbull wasn't being active. Ironically, it wasn't until Poirier mentioned how Pitbull looked terrible and how Pitbull was just too cautious and things, and basically like criticizing him. It seemed like Pitbull took that personally. Like he heard that and said, "I'll show you," and then freaking rocked Danny Ige, dropped him to one knee, and then just started throwing punches, actually catching Danny Ige, and actually rocked him again as Ige was near the fence. And he actually drew a flurry and actually was catching Danny Ige with some good punches, and hurt Ige, and then he took Ige down as he clearly won round 2. Round 3, Pitbull survived because he was going for a takedown, but Ige caught him with a kick that broke Pitbull's nose, and Pitbull was breathing through his mouth, and Pitbull was on survival mode as Ige started like being a little bit more active, landing some shots on Pitbull, but it was too late. Pitbull was able to survive, and Pitbull got some takedowns, or was going for takedowns rather, but Ige reversed positions a few times, able to get out of these grappling exchanges, but it wasn't enough as Pitbull was able to get the 29-20 decision victory. It was a better performance by Pitbull against Dan Ige than the Yair fight. It started off slow for him, but then round 2 he picked it up and did enough to win. Round 1 he should have done more, but he did enough to win because Ige didn't do jack at all. And it's just like another Eric Nicksick Xtreme Couture fighter who unfortunately did not. Unfortunately, he just was too slow and didn't get going until it was too late, like Zellhuber. And it's kind of crazy. And people are wondering, like, does Extreme Couture turn guys into like too patient, too cautious guys? Here, people are pointing out, Ige sort of been like that recently. Ige got a victory against Sean Woodson before 3 months ago, and Zellhuber is his first full train camp at Extreme Couture. After the Ribic fight, UFC Noche, he went to Extreme Couture to train. This is his first fight, and he looked the way he looked. Didn't get going until it was too late. Kept doing the same thing, and people point out Strickland, how he performs. But the thing with Strickland is that Strickland actually, he does. Yeah, it's not the most. It's the most fan friendly style all the time now, but he's able to do enough to beat up his opponents, and is defensively responsible. He doesn't get hit like Ige did. Like Ige did get hit, and Zellhuber. But I understand people talking about Strickland, his performances, how Strickland's very cautious, sometimes too cautious, in Kurt's recent performances. and these are all Extreme Couture guys. So I don't know if it's the Extreme Couture does that to fighters or not. Because one thing about Extreme Couture is that they do have a lot of fighters and a lot of guys come there. So I gotta see more of the Extreme Couture guys and see if maybe Extreme Couture makes these guys too cautious, or it starts too slow, or keep doing the same thing and don't do more. I need to see more before I say, oh yeah, there's a prime Extreme Couture. Because it's one of the better gyms. I mean, Francis Ngannou won the heavyweight title, trained there. Strickland was a middleweight champ, still one of the best middleweights. Let's not forget Brandon Allen and Paulo Costa won this card, and Strickland beat both of them. So make Strickland look good. And what was I gonna say? There's other guys. I'm trying to remember. It's a bunch of I'm forget. There's a bunch of other guys. I'm like blanking on the other Extreme Couture guys, but I think Magomed Goliath trains there as well when he's not in Dagestan. I think he splits his camps, I believe. And so I still got, and Magomed Goliath is one of more compared to like some of these other Dagestanis. He's actually kind of exciting, to be fair, from these other ones. So I gotta like I said, watch other Extreme Couture fights and see if that's true or not. Because people were talking about Nicksick and Extreme Couture basically making these guys when they fight turn to, they had these guys thinking still sparring session instead of actual fight, where they treat like a sparring session. I don't know if that's the case. I still gotta like watch more before I find out. But yeah, it was not a great night for Extreme Couture and Eric Nicksick. And it sucks. I like Eric Nicksick based on interviews and stuff. Seems like a cool guy, great coach. Like I say, he's had success. But yeah, I just had to talk about that real quick because that was a talking point. I feel like I had to address it. If I didn't, I wouldn't be doing my job. But yeah, good job, Patricio Pitbull, for that victor. In terms of doing enough to win. Like I said, and turn on we need to in that second round. But when it comes to Pitbull, hopefully Pitbull starts faster in his career. If he really wants to, do more in the UFC, he's gonna start faster. He can't be super slow. Two fights, he starts slow in the first round. Now, granted, to be fair, he did enough to win round one. He did more in this round one of this fight than round one is Yair. Basically, he did more, but still. And I don't. And the thing with Pitbull is that, like I said when he made his UFC debut, if he came in like 5-6 years ago, I think he would do much better than now. He came to UFC too late, 38 after getting knocked out not that long ago, cutting down 135, which was a mistake because he lost some muscle and looked smaller than usual. I think that was yeah. He cut 135 and didn't go well for him. Yeah, so I think he would do better if he was younger. But he still got the victory. I still want to see him and Josh Emmett because, believe it or not, I think he could beat Josh Emmett. I think that's a good matchup for both guys. They're both older guys in the featherweight division who will be ranked, and I feel like he could beat Josh Emmett because Josh Emmett, yes, power bench, he can knock out guys, but I feel like Emmett sometimes is hittable and kind of relies on that power too much to where he's susceptible to other things. And I feel like it's a 50-50 fight. Like Pitbull can win that fight, but Emmett could beat him. I think it's a good fight for Pitbull next. Him and Josh Emmett. I think that's a perfect fight. Well, yeah, I'll change from that to the next fight, which is Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. I'm still shocked by this fight. I am genuinely shocked. Like, I don't know how Holland lost this fight. Like, I genuinely do not know. I was struggling a little bit to say something there, but I just don't know. Like, I understand Kevin Holland, you can't trust it, and I always said that before recently, and this has proved my trust when I should trust. But still, it's like, okay, Rodriguez is 170. Holland does best at 170. Rodriguez, all he does is power and like tough chin. He doesn't have a lot of skills, but he still lost. Like, round one was close, but Rodriguez to me won round one because Rodriguez landed more than Kevin Holland. Yes, Kevin Holland landed on Rodriguez and did some things, but Rodriguez landed more. Like, if you look at the numbers, let me point round one numbers real quick. Matter of fact, I think round one. What the strikes for round one as? Yeah. Basically, when it comes to round one, Rodriguez was more. Rodriguez Holland drew more and landed more, but Rodriguez Rodriguez was more accurate, and I feel like his punches had more effect on Kevin Holland than the other way around. Like I thought Rodriguez landed more. Never mind. Okay. Holland landed 40 shot strikes. Rodriguez landed 32. Sigurd strikes. Holland landed 40. Rodriguez 29. But he was more accurate. Rodriguez he landed 51% of his shots. Holland 48. Yeah, like Rodriguez was more accurate with strikes, and I feel like they had more of an impact on Holland than the other way around. Like there was one right that I think it was a jab, like a straight right, that kind of got Holland like dazed, like kind of stumbled. And I feel and there was that punch and like watching round one like an hour and a half before recording this, I was like, yeah, Rodriguez won round one. Because some people can argue, some people are saying that Holland probably could have won round one, but watching round one, nah, Rodriguez won round one to me. He was more accurate. His shots did more to more hurt Kevin Holland the other way around. So yeah, I gotta go with Rodriguez. Round two, Rodriguez drops Holland twice, and I was shocked. Like I was when I was like, because I worked Saturday, so I didn't watch the card like live, but I was on my way home from work and I was like listening to the fights on my way home, and I heard like Rodriguez dropping Holland. I'm like, what? Rodriguez dropped Holland? What the fuck? How? And like he dropped him twice, and I was like, I couldn't believe it, and almost finished Holland. He looked like after the second knockdown, like oh he had a chance to finish him, but really couldn't. Like if I had Rodriguez decide not like get on top of him and like like allow Holland to grab a hold of him and rest and just let Holland stand up, he probably could have dropped him and like, finished him potentially. Now I think about it, but that didn't happen. Holland's able to get up and like landing some strikes on Rodriguez at the end of the second round, but he was clearly wobble. Like he was clearly wobbled by the strikes, and Rodriguez did enough to win. And then round three, Holland drops Rodriguez in round three, beats him up, and I don't know how Holland didn't finish Rodriguez because it looked like Rodriguez was out. Like at one point, like Rodriguez got and Holland landed like an uppercut through Rodriguez's guard, and it looked like Rodriguez kind of like shut like his lights were out basically. It looked like the ref's gonna stop it, but then Rodriguez kind of moved because I think Holland landed another shot that kind of woke him up. I think I got a shot that woke him up, or like Rodriguez got his senses back immediately and started moving around, and he was able to survive round three. And this was a great fight. This was an entertaining fight. Like the two knockdowns from Rodriguez in round two, Holland dropping in round three, beat him up too with some good punches, like rocking him after Rodriguez got off from getting dropped, hurt. Like you had that aspect. Yeah, Holland throwing punches, landing on Rodriguez. Rodriguez was able to survive because Rodriguez does have a good chin and like it's crazy. Rodriguez does have a good chin, like I mentioned, but I think that's part of the reason why Holland didn't finish it, Rodriguez. But still, it looked like Holland with his power, considering he has power 170 and 185, and and things like that. I thought Holland might be able to crack Rodriguez and hurt him badly just because how badly he hurt Rodriguez. But no, Rodriguez survived, toughed it out, and was able to get a decision victory. And this was very shocking, like I said, because I did not. If you had told me before the fight that Holland's gonna drop twice, I wouldn't have believed you. I'm like, nah, Holland's younger, he's better, he's got more skills, more ways to win. Holland got good knees, he can throw punches and clinch, and Holland didn't do that. Like I don't recall many moments in the clinch for both guys. I don't recall Holland doing anything in clinch at all outside like maybe round three ish, where he was trying to go for the finish. Like maybe like it was briefly if it did happen. I feel like he might have. I don't know why I'm blanking on that, but yeah, like this was like for me like shock, a big upset. Because I think Holland might have been, was it Holland or Zellhuber? One of those two was like the biggest favorite of the card. It was one of those two. I forget who, but I'm like, yeah, I'm generally shocked. Like to me, this is like one of the top 10 upsets of the year, or top five, just because of how good Holland's looked. How I've always said how Holland when he takes his career seriously, especially at 170, can be a title challenger in my opinion. But he lost to Rodriguez, and Rodriguez is now on a 3-fight win streak, and he's gonna be ranked too. Crazy. Rodriguez is ranked in 2025. I'm shocked. Like this for me personally is a top five upset. I don't know if you guys agree with that. Let me know in the comments. Do you think Rodriguez and Holland is a top five upset of the year? And yeah, of the year. I'm gonna make sure I said it. Of the year, not all time, not of all time. I'm not going that far. That's crazy. Holland's good, but not that good. But when I mean not that good, I mean he's not like champion, but still. Although I don't know, maybe he can still be champion. I don't know, but still, anyway. This is a top 5 upset for me of the year. This fight, I genuinely like am shocked that Holland lost. Like I am wow. Like, but yeah, congrats to Daniel Rodriguez. I transitioned from that fight to the co-main event. Paulo Costa getting a victory over Roman Kopylov, 29-28. Wow, the best Paulo Costa's looked since 2019. Paulo Costa looked good. Like he attacked Kopylov with body kicks, body punches, leg kicks, etc. And then even dropped Kopylov in round two, dropped him badly. And just he looked a little bit like the old Paulo Costa. The Paulo Costa just went forward and just drew punches with like was able to throw punches and kicks and just throw them willfully, not be nervous and just control the center of the octagon and the pace. As Kopylov, he didn't have the best fight because Kopylov just it looked he just stood there rounds 1 and 2 and really didn't like use angles, barely drew anything back and just let Paulo Costa beat him up. It seemed like that, and now granted, part is also Paulo Costa just was on in his zone, just firing all cylinders and just able to catch him. But still, I feel like Kopylov at times, especially before he got dropped, really just he just like stood there and just like allowed himself to get hit. Didn't use angles like I mentioned. Kopylov's pretty good at using angles to throw shots. Like he didn't use it at all in this fight. He just stood there, very linear, and I didn't use angles to throw counters at Paulo Costa or do any shots at Paulo to get in, go back. And he didn't use that at all. He just stood there and made it easy for Paulo to hit him. Paulo looked good. Like I said, body kicks, body punches were there, leg kicks. He dropped Kopylov in rounds 1 and 2. He looked very good and just pick him apart. He almost looked like a point fighter almost. Paulo Costa, like in terms of like hitting him just doing just enough to win points. But Paulo had like intentions. Like Paulo wasn't trying to point fight. It was more so, hey, his eyes open, I'm hitting the body. Oh, his leg kicks there, I'm gonna leg kick him. I'm gonna try to throw with intent, but I'm gonna try to throw with intent, basically. That's what he was doing. He was throwing these punches with intent and kicks with intent to hurt him, not just do enough to win, but do points. And like I said, he did drop Kopylov in round two, I believe. And Paulo Costa looked very good. Looked like the old Paulo Costa. Man, and this was a good victory because Paulo Costa is a guy who's funny personality. He needed a victory after losing his last 2 fights. Really, he's lost 4 of his last 5 fights. The only victory he had prior to actually during that whole 5 fight stretch was against Luke Rockhold in 2022, which he did not look the best, especially in round 3 against older wash Luke Rockhold too. So yeah, this was a good performance against Kopylov, and Paulo Costa basically gets to keep his ranking, and he can go out and fight someone in the top 10. I'm thinking Paulo Costa, he could probably fight the winner of Jared Cannonier and MVP, maybe, or maybe him and Brandon Allen can fight. Something like that. I feel like one of those 2 fights makes sense. I know he's calling. I know him and Hamza had beef. They're supposed to fight a few times a few years ago, but it didn't happen. And those 2 guys really don't like each other. Then they got in like a little incident at UFC PI, if I remember correctly, back in late 2022. If my memory serves me correct, they had something like that. So I don't think he's gonna get. I don't think he's gonna get it. Like I mean, if Hamzat loses, maybe do Hamza and Paulo, but even then, I still don't think so. I think Paulo need one more victory before we do him and Hamzat. But I mean, he's gonna be in Chicago for the next pay per view. It'd be fun to see the interaction with him and Hamzat, considering they really do not like each other like at all. But yeah, good victory for Paulo and good victory for Captain Eric. Captain Eric Albaicin. No, I always forget to say his last name. Captain Eric, the guy, the white glasses, the coach, because he's Patricio Pitbull's coach and he's Paulo Costa's coach, and both of his guys won. Which I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Captain Eric still coaches Paulo, because I remember he was there with Paulo like during the Israel fight, etc. So Captain Eric, man, it's a good night for him. His fighters won 2-0. Seems like not many people were talking about Captain Eric like they used to do a few years ago, where he was talked about a lot, and seems like no one's talking about him as much. And now these guys go out there and win 2 fights on pay per view. So yeah, good job for him. as people talk about, because Captain Eric has had a lot of success as a coach, so it's good for him, good for Paulo, like the old Paulo Costa, but also he also like what's gonna say. No, he just looked like a better he just looked like his old self, but I'm trying to describe like what's the best way to describe Paulo's performance. He looks similar to his old self, but also was able to do. He did a little bit of Israel Asanya. Like you watch Israel fights, like he's very like there's a lot of kick. When I mean by Israel style, I mean like Israel style, but more entertained, not as boring as Israel does. He didn't throw a jab like Israel does. Like Israel, you like throw body kicks and like leg kicks and stuff, and like body punches and stuff. It was similar to Israel Asanya style, like the way Israel used to beat him, but it was also his own flair. I'm not sure that makes sense. It was a mixture of that and like his old style where he just kept going, kept throwing punches and stuff, and like control the octagon. It was a mixture of that basically, what Paulo did, if that makes sense. But yeah, good victory for Paulo. Either way, I'm gonna stop rambling. I'm gonna go to the main event now. I kind of rambled too much about that, but good victory. I'm happy Paulo won because I like Paulo Costa. It's good that he won. Anyway, main event: Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway, the third time, the front time Poirier retirement fight. And oh, by the way, I'm wearing this Dustin Poirier shirt, as you can see here. I remember my dad like for Christmas like got me like like UFC shirts, and one of them was a Poirier shirt, and I for some odd reason like lost it, and I didn't open it and put it away in the hanger like I should have. I forgot. I remember I ended up like losing it somehow, and like I was cleaning my room not that long ago, and like I found the shirt. I'm like, oh yeah, I had the shirt. That's right. You know what? I'm gonna wear it. You know what? I'm gonna wear it for my UFC 318. I was debating should I wear it for the preview or do it for the review, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna wear it for the review. I think it makes sense to do that there. So wearing the shirt, it's appropriate since this is a retirement fight. Might as well wear it. But yeah, like Max Holloway looked amazing in this fight. This fight was not as close as some fighters. I mean, not fighters, but some people were making it out to be like whether the commentators, etc. One judge had 47. Nah, I just watched that fight before doing this video, and I thought Holloway won all 5 rounds. I really did. Round four, maybe you can give Poirier, maybe. I know some people gave Poirier round two. I disagree. Go back and watch round two. Holloway was beating him up the first 3.5 minutes. He outlanded him. His shots had more impact, and he hurt Poirier too. Hurt him badly, like almost finished him. Hurt him with some big shots in that second round. And in round one, let's not forget he did drop Poirier. It said one time, but to me it looked like two knockdowns because after he dropped Poirier was like getting up, like on his like he was on one knee, and then Holloway hit him, and Poirier fell down. That looked like to me like a second knockdown that I'm surprised no one's talking about in round one. But yeah, Poirier. But yeah, Poirier Poirier did good. Like he didn't like get outclassed. Like this wasn't like he got embarrassed by Holloway. Like Poirier basically. It's like every time he would land, like every time he landed one shot, Holloway like two or three. Every time Poirier would land like a 3-punch combination, Holloway returned with like a 3-punch combination of his own. But his shots had more impact. It was like the reversal of the second fight, where the second fight Holloway would land good shots, but Poirier's shots had more impact, type of deal. It was a reverse. This time Holloway was the one. Every time he landed, it hurt Poirier more than Poirier's shots on Holloway. Like the reversal of the second fight. As Holloway looked better, because this fight Holloway actually had time to get prepared for 155 and pull on the weight. Whereas the second fight it was a short notice. And this fight wasn't short notice. Holloway had time. Holloway, he looked good in this fight, just like he did against Justin Gaethje. And he was throwing like the spinning back kick a few times. The one that he drew when he broke Gaethje's nose in round one in their fight. He kept throwing it several times, and he didn't land on Poirier's nose, but he landed on Poirier's body a couple times. I think one of the times he landed around Poirier's neck or chest. I think at the end of round four he did. And Poirier not acknowledged it, but man, he looked fast. Like he really looked fast. Like, his hand speed looked fast. He looked faster than Poirier, especially with his punches and combinations. I think it's part of the reason why his shots had more impact than Poirier's shots because his hand speed was faster. So he got there first and just really messed up Poirier. Whether he do punches or body kicks, even there was one body kick where it kind of pushed Poirier back like this, like in round two. And it was just, yeah, man. Holloway looked freaking phenomenal. He looks like a better lightweight than a better featherweight. He looks better. Holloway's made improvements since the second fight back in 2019. Obviously, with his kicking game and his striking defense and all that. But here he just looks so much. Here he looks so much better at 155. Like his last two fights at 155, he's just dominated. Like two guys who've been like top contenders at lightweight for a long time, Gaethje and Poirier. Now I know Poirier's retiring, but still, Poirier did not look terrible. Like Poirier actually, he dropped Holloway at the end of round two. It hurt him badly, and he went for a guillotine, which made no sense. Like I don't know what is Dustin Poirier's obsession with guillotines. Like I would love to ask him that. Like what is his obsession? Like is that his first submission he ever learned, or what? Like he went for a guillotine after hurting Max Holloway when he probably should have drew more strikes. Considering Holloway mentioned that he was hurt badly after he got rocked by Poirier and dropped in the end of round two. They went for the guillotine, which made no sense. But Poirier still he looked good. He landed a good amount on Holloway. Like I said, he got beat up. He still landed on Holloway and did a good job of landing some good combinations on him. But with beat punches and uppercuts and things like that. But Holloway landed way more, was quicker. Like I said, every time Poirier land, Holloway landed like 2 or 3 shots, type of deal. And he beat him. To me, he won all 5 rounds. I feel like this was a clear Max Holloway victory. Like it was not as competitive as some people made it out to be. It was very good. Great performance by Holloway. I want to see Holloway take on Charles Oliveira, Armin Surukin, and Paddy Pimblett. One of those 3 fights next for Holloway. I like to see it because I think Holloway could beat all those guys. And I think all those guys can give him a challenge too in terms of how he does with grappling at 155 versus 145, considering at the end of his 145 run, he didn't really deal with a lot of grapplers. He did with guys who could grapple, but not like guys who are like really elite grapplers who has the first thing type of deal or use that style more to win. Whereas Oliveira is one of the best grapplers in UFC history, especially and he got most submissions in the UFC history. And he's better 155 than 145 when they fought. And that fight was weird because it ended with a weird esophagus injury that Charles Oliveira had. So we really didn't get to see them truly fight like that. Which I can't believe that was 10 years ago. Holloway and Oliveira won. That's crazy. That was 10 years ago. Wow. That's insane to think about now. But yeah, anyway, yeah, sorry, I just thought about that just now. That fight took place 10 years ago. If we did a rematch, it'd be 10 years later. But anyway, yeah, you have that. You have Armin Surukin, who uses wrestling and he can strike too. I do want to see Holloway deal with someone like him or Paddy Pimblett, who uses grappling and is a very good submission guy. He does strike, but he likes to use his wrestling and grappling in his fights. Paddy Pimblett, and he's big too. I do want to see how Holloway does against those guys, just for that fact of how he did. It was a grappling 155. One of those 3 is a great matchup for Holloway. I can't wait to see. Hopefully they hope. I'm confident they're gonna do one of those 3 fights. I don't know which one, but one of those 3 fights for sure is gonna be Holloway's next fight. Hopefully they do it by the end of the year. We don't want to wait too long. Before Christmas, we get that fight. Hopefully we do it. But yeah, that was a great performance from Max Holloway. Excellent fight. Great performance, man. Looked great. Finally beats Dustin Poirier after losing the first 2 fights. Gets to say he beat him. It's ironic too because Holloway's first fight in UFC was against Dustin Poirier, and now Dustin Poirier's last fight of his career is against Max Holloway. It's pretty crazy when you think about that fact. But yeah, Holloway just looks so good at 155. Speed's there, hand speed, power. It's just, man, this version of Holloway, I think can be a contender at 155 for a long time. And it's another featherweight going 155 and having great success. It's another example. I mean, guys like Ilya, Charles, Poirier was a former featherweight as well. It's just crazy how that works. With featherweight division, featherweight's going to 155. I don't get why Ortega's not doing that, but it's another story for another day. But yeah, and also I think 155 Holloway would destroy 155 Volkanovski if they fought 155. Personally, that's the one throw out there. But yeah, great job, Max Holloway, and now Dustin Poirier, the man of the hour. Man of the hour because it's his final fight. The UFC returned to New Orleans for the first time in 10 years, just for Poirier, considering Poirier's from Louisiana, and the crowd was very like the crowd. Obviously, the crowd was super pro Poirier for obvious reasons. Lil Wayne walked out with him. Lil Wayne being from New Orleans and all that, so it made sense. And unfortunately for Poirier, Lil Wayne didn't wrap the BMF belt around him. He had to wrap around Max Holloway, but it is what it is. Dio Vaughn was there for support of Dustin Poirier, who's also from Louisiana. There was Lauren Saint players and like several people from Louisiana being there to support Poirier. The whole state came out for him. Like it was crazy. Like to have it's rare to see guys retire in their home state or hometown rather, especially on a pay-per-view where the cards built around them. That doesn't happen. And so it was basically the whole event was around him, as it should be, because Poirier is a legend. This guy's fought the top guys in lightweight for a long time. And he was a top contender in featherweight, too. Let's not forget, him and Korean Zombie fought in Title Eliminator. And he, at one point, afterwards, before he went to 155, he was actually number 5 ranked featherweight. So this guy was a pretty good featherweight and a pretty good lightweight. Like, look at the guys Poirier's fought. Like, he fought Korean Zombie, Conor McGregor 3 times, Holloway 3 times, Islam Makhachev, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Eddie Alvarez twice, Justin Gaethje twice, Dan Hooker, Michael Chandler, and Anthony Pettis. Who else at featherweight? There's somebody I forget. I think he fought Dan Bermudez, who was a pretty good featherweight at one point. I think he did fight at one point 145. He's fought some really good guys. Like Jim Miller, he beat Poirier. These are guys he's fought, and a lot of them he beat. Like he beat Hooker, beat Conor twice, beat Holloway twice, beat Eddie Alvarez, beat Justin Gaethje, beat Dan Hooker, and all beat Benoit Santini. Was an impressive victory just because of the comeback, considering he was down 1-0. And people thought Benoit was the next big hype, and Poirier kind of shut that down. So it was an impressive victory. We'll see if Benoit is actually worth the hype if he does make it back to the top 10, but we'll see. Was he? I don't think Benoit was top 10. No, he wasn't top 10 when he fought Poirier. He was not, but we thought he was going to be. But yeah, let's see what Benoit does in his career. But that was a good victory. And thank you, Dustin Poirier, for all the entertaining fights and entertaining moments, because he was never in a boring fight. All the fighters love him and respect him because he's a fighter's fight. Comes to fight, never boring, always entertaining. And my favorite Dustin Poirier fight and moment probably his Dan Hooker fight. Dan Hooker fight is incredible. Was a entertaining ass fight at Apex during the pandemic because he got dropped and hurt badly by Dan Hooker. But then at one point he turned around and hurt Dan Hooker and had him hurt badly, not that long after getting hurt himself. And it was just back and forth war, and he showed toughness and grittiness, and he's able to come back and beat Dan Hooker, considering Dan Hooker was on a roll at that point. And this was a fight where Poirier was hurt badly and really beat up, and he came back and was able to win that fight and actually showcase grittiness, toughness, and heart, and able to push back and beat Dan Hooker, who was taller too and striker, considering he's probably the tallest opponent he ever fought. And Dan Hooker has the ability to hurt you, knock you out, and Hooker does throw kicks and knees and stuff you have to watch out for. And he was able to go out there and survive and actually beat up Dan Hooker in a fucking entertaining fight. That and the Conor McGregor second knockout are my two favorite moments. I know everyone's gonna bring that up, that second McGregor fight, for obvious reasons. And it should, because considering this was a rematch, considering Poirier got beat up and knocked down in the first round in their first fight against Conor McGregor, and people were nervous that it was going to happen again. If I remember correctly, I remember McGregor was a small favorite too. And in the first round, McGregor won the first round. I think people forget about the second fight. McGregor won round 1, and he actually caught Poirier and stunned him. But Poirier survived. I think in that moment, Poirier took the shot and realized, oh, I'm fine. You know what? I got this guy. I think at one point he kind of made a face, point at McGregor after he got rocked, and it's like, I got you now. And then he basically threw leg kicks and threw a bunch of calf kicks at Conor McGregor, and McGregor did not check at all, and just beat it and just slow down McGregor. And it made it easier for Poirier to hit McGregor, so McGregor became a easy target. And he's able to catch McGregor and drop him badly and finish him that shot to the point where he knocked McGregor out, where he made McGregor do a pose like this as he was knocked out. And that fight, and That moment and the Dan Hooker fight are my two favorite Poirier moments. Those two back to back, just because how awesome and entertaining that Hooker fight was, and then the comeback. Considering Hooker had him hurt badly in that fight, it was a back and forth fun fight. And then of course the McGregor fight where we avenged that loss from like 4 years, no, 2021. They fought in 2024. I mean 2014, excuse me. So 6.5, 7 years earlier, he avenged that loss and knocked out Conor McGregor, which we had never seen McGregor knocked out. Like we had seen McGregor, lose, but never been knocked out or finished. Like Floyd Mayweather beat him by standing TKO, but it's like boxing. You know what I mean? McGregor was in boxing. That's not MMA. And McGregor had been submitted before. Yes, he had been submitted. I think his previous losses were all submission losses, but but we never seen him get knocked out, and that was the first time we saw McGregor get knocked out. Something that was so shocking, just because we thought McGregor was back, he was focused. Okay, McGregor's going to be championship contender again, and then Poirier knocks him out and avenges that loss. And a lot of people thought, oh, he's going to beat Poirier again, he's going to hurt him and drop him, but nope, Poirier survived. Took the shots of McGregor in the first round and recognized, okay, I can beat this guy. Threw a bunch of calf kicks, hurting McGregor's leg, making McGregor easy target, and then he just dropped him with that right against the fence, and then knocked, and then like drew the follow up punch that put him his lights out cold. Those two moments or fights are my favorite Poirier moments and fights. The Hooker fight and then the McGregor fight equally. Another honorable mention is the Eddie Alvarez fight, the second one where he got the victory. Eddie Alvarez, entertaining fight. Poirier was it was back and forth. Poirier was Poirier was in trouble. Like he had adversity at one point, and Eddie Alvarez threw an illegal elbow because his coach told him to, and his coach screwed up, they basically had to stand both of them up, and Poirier was able to recover and be able to make a comeback and actually knock out Eddie Alvarez. And people forget how good Eddie Alvarez was. Eddie Alvarez was one of the most underrated fighters, former champion. That is one of Poirier's best victories. Like McGregor, obviously, is probably his best victory. I argue Eddie Alvarez is number two after McGregor, just because of how great Eddie was in how he's, in my opinion, top five lightweight of all time. Like the fact Poirier beat Eddie Alvarez is really like impressive. I think for me, I go, McGregor 1, Alvarez 2. I put Gaethje 3, Hooker 4, and maybe no. What am I saying? No, um, actually Holloway 3, Gaethje 4, Hooker 5. I know I forgot about. I don't know why I forgot the Holloway victories in that moment. Brain fart, but it is what it is. So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to talk about Poirier's career, talk about that extensively at the end. I was thinking about doing that in my pre-video, but I said, no, I'll do it at the end. I want to see how this fight plays out before I do it. But yeah, Poirier is one of the all-time greats, one of the greatest lightweights ever, despite never winning the undisputed title. He was interim champ, and he beat a lot of killers to get to the interim belt. And he fought for the belt 3 times. Yeah, 3 times he fought for the lightweight belt. And Poirier was one of those entertaining fighters ever, a future Hall of Famer. He deserves it. So congratulations, Dustin Poirier, for your legendary career. You've earned it. Good luck in your retirement. I know you made plenty of money, and you got the hot sauce. So I know the hot sauce is doing well. I'm surprised his hot sauce wasn't like the sponsor, because it's been before for like UFC events. Surprised it wasn't here, but that's besides the point. Anyway, and he's probably going to do steroids and eat a bunch of food. So yeah, congrats to Dustin Poirier, your Hall of Fame legendary career. You deserve it. You will go Hall of Fame, rightfully so. And that's gonna wrap up my video. Longer than I expected, but it is what it is. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the card? Who do you think had the best performance? Who you want to see Holloway fight next? What are your thoughts on what was well, I forgot. What was I gonna say? Like Oh yeah, I forgot. There's something I wanted you guys' opinion on. Well, I think was it the Eric Nicksick thing, or no? It was Kevin. I think we made the Kevin Holland thing. What I want you guys' thoughts on like what's next for like what your thoughts. I forgot. There was something I wanted you to know your guys' thoughts on. I'm forgetting like an idiot, but whatever. If you saw my video early, if you watched early in the video, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, yeah, let me know what you guys' thoughts on the card, best performances, what you want to see next from Max Holloway, and what your favorite Dustin Poirier moments and memories are. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day, good night, peace, God bless, stay safe, and yeah, shout out to Dustin Poirier. Congrats on your retirement, man, and your career. Future Hall of Fame for sure.